body racked with pain. The arrow that had pierced his flesh was no ordinary one. It was coated with a deadly poison, crafted to ensure a slow and agonizing death. His breaths came in ragged gasps as he clutched at the wound, his mind racing to find a way to survive. Paris knew there was only one person who could save him now: Enon, his former lover. Once, Enon had been his everything. She was a nymph of Mount Ida, with the power to heal any wound. They had shared years together, but Paris had abandoned her, drawn away by the allure of another woman. Now, as his life hung by a thread, he thought of Enon and the love he had left behind. Desperation drove Paris to find Enon. He journeyed through the dense forests and steep hills, each step an ordeal as the poison coursed through his veins. Finally, he found her.
I need help.
But Enon's eyes, once filled with love, now blazed with fury and pain.
You left me for her. You chose Helen over me, and now you come to me. Go to Helen. I cannot save you.
Paris had no answer, only the bitter taste of regret on his tongue. He had left Enon, thinking that Helen's beauty would bring him happiness. But now, as he lay dying, all he could think of was the love he had betrayed. As Paris lay on the cold ground, memories of his life flashed before him, pulling him back to the very beginning, his birth. Paris was born to King Priam and Queen Hecuba of Troy. But even before his birth, a dark omen cast a shadow over his life. One night, Queen Hecuba awoke in a cold sweat, her heart pounding in terror. She had dreamed a terrifying vision, a flaming torch that set the entire city of Troy ablaze, reducing it to ashes. Desperate for answers, she rushed to the prophet, Isaacus, a member of the royal family. With fear gripping her heart, she approached him, her voice trembling.
I have dreamt a terrible dream. I gave birth to a flaming torch, and it burned the city of Troy to the ground.
Isaacus, his face grave, closed his eyes as he sought the guidance of the gods. After a long silence, he opened them and spoke in a voice heavy with foreboding.
The dream is a prophecy. The child you carry will bring about the destruction of Troy.
Hecuba gasped, her hand instinctively moving to her swelling belly. After a short pause, Isaacus, the prophet, said,
To save Troy, this child should die.
Torn between her love for her unborn child and her duty to her people, Hecuba returned to her bedchamber with a heavy heart. When the time came, and her son was born, she knew what she had to do. King Priam, equally distressed by the prophecy, ordered that the baby be left to die on Mount Ida, far from the city. Paris did not die. A shepherd named Agelos, who roamed the slopes of Mount Ida, found the infant abandoned, crying under the open sky. The shepherd's heart softened at the sight of the helpless child. Though he knew nothing of the prophecy, Agelos felt a strange connection to the boy. He took him in and raised him as his own son, naming him Paris. Paris grew up among the flocks and fields, surrounded by the peaceful beauty of nature. He was a strong and handsome young man, with a charm that endeared him to all who met him. One day, as Paris tended his sheep on Mount Ida, he was visited by three goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. They were locked in a fierce dispute over a golden apple inscribed with the words, "To the fairest." It began at the wedding of Peleus and Thetis. All the gods were invited, except Eris, the goddess of discord. Angered by the exclusion, Eris arrived uninvited and, with a sly smile, threw a golden apple into the midst of the feast. The goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite immediately claimed the apple. Each believed herself the most beautiful, and soon the gathering descended into argument. Their dispute became so heated that they turned to Zeus, the king of the gods, for judgment. Zeus, wise and careful, raised his hand to silence them.
I will not decide this matter, but there is one who can. Go to Mount Ida. There you will find the mortal Paris, a humble shepherd.
When the three goddesses appeared before him, Paris was stunned by their beauty. Each goddess offered him a gift, hoping to sway his judgment. First, Hera, queen of the gods, said,
Paris, choose me, and I will make you the ruler of the greatest kingdoms. You will have wealth and power beyond your dreams.
Then Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, promised,
I will grant you unmatched wisdom and skill in battle. You will lead armies and be remembered as the greatest warrior of your age.
Finally, Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty, smiled at him and whispered,
Paris, what about you choose me, and I give you the love of Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world?
Paris looked from Hera to Athena, amazed by their offers, but then Aphrodite stepped closer.
She will be yours.
Her voice was gentle, and her words were filled with promise. Her words stirred something deep in him, reminding him of the story he had often heard about Helen's birth. Helen was not born like ordinary people. She was the daughter of Zeus, the king of the gods, who had fallen in love with her mother, Leda, the queen of Sparta. One day, Leda was bathing in a quiet river when Zeus, watching her from above, decided to approach her. To gain her trust, he transformed himself into a beautiful white swan. The swan's feathers shone brightly in the sunlight as he floated close to her. Leda, seeing the gentle bird, reached out to touch him, unaware of who he really was. From this strange union, Leda laid 2 eggs. From one of these eggs, Helen was born, a child with a beauty so incredible that everyone said it was a gift from the gods. Helen's looks were unlike anyone else's, and people believed she was meant to be the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris thought about Helen's special birth, and his heart filled with desire. Aphrodite's promise sounded irresistible, as if it was his fate to be with Helen. The vision of her beauty pulled him in, and without realizing all that would follow, Paris placed the golden apple in Aphrodite's hand, choosing her as the fairest and sealing the destiny of Troy.